administrators, teachers, and everyone else. I would like to start by saying I'm so proud to be up here and so truly honored to be talking in front of all of you today. And I'm glad, because I've had something on my mind that I've been wanting to talk to you about. It's time. Time is a strange thing. There are 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 24 hours in a day, and there are 365 days in a year. We all know this. I know this. But why is time to be measured this way, in minutes and days and years? It is this question that has led me to another. How do we measure time we've spent at Manhasset High School? Maybe you measured it by the classes you took or the teachers you had. Maybe you measured it in unusual sleep patterns in which you stayed up late into the night studying when you really should have been sleeping, and sleeping in class when you really should have been studying. Or maybe you measured it in gym units and cafeteria lunches. Or maybe you measured your days by checking off the periods as they ticked by, and minutes in practice as they too inched on, until slowly, and then all at once, there were no more tests to study for, or practices to attend, or periods to count. So, 2017ers, I will bring you on a quick trip down memory lane in hopes of contemplating time and bringing you back to when you counted the days. I think it's only fitting to start in middle school, when we were thrown awkward and pimply into the armpit of the high school. 7th and 8th grade were years of discoveries. We discovered there's no pool in the basement, nor is there a 5th floor. We discovered teachers that collect dirt from grave sites and wore headsets like a pilot when teaching class. We also discovered things like spray-on deodorant and that margarine is better than butter. But mostly, middle school was a holding place. Time measured by races to the cafeteria to get a chair at the lunch table. The amount of cookies we bought in a day from Sandy, the lunch lady, and how high we flew our rockets at the end of the year in Mr. Russo's class. Just as the rockets were launched into the air, disappearing into the distance, we were launched into high school. Although nothing could be quite as awkward as our middle school years, freshman year did not prove to be our finest either. Our time as freshmen was measured by firsts. The first preseason where we wondered if it was even legal to play in weather so hot. The first day of high school when we walked the halls, backpacks like boulders swinging into upperclassmen. And then there was the first dance, in which all photos must be burned. It was the first time we joined sports teams, auditioned for plays, and partook in high school classes. It was the first time we had actual, real responsibilities. We feared and envied the upperclassmen that strutted beside us, but by watching them closely, we had mapped out what the next 4 years of our life would be like, and we could not wait to start making the long list of memories to come. Our time as freshmen was measured in first mistakes and first achievements, and of our first memories of what would become our high school careers. Sophomore year, we got more comfortable and settled in quickly. We perfected our routine and befriended some of the upperclassmen. Time was measured in research papers and projects, various assignments and exams. Deadlines had more meaning, and we started taking those real responsibilities more seriously. But time was also measured in the strengthening of our existing friendships, continuing to push each other in practices and games, studying and hanging out together. We counted the days until the weekends, and with that solid foundation of support and familiarity, we were able to find ourselves. Sophomore year was a marking point. It was halftime, intermission. We were halfway there. Then time brought us to our junior year, and we didn't strut as much as we thought we would. Instead, we walked the halls like zombies, sleeping even when we were awake, lugging around SAT and ACT test prep books. But even when we were stressed and sleepless, we took solace in knowing that our best friends were going through the same thing, And when we groaned about heaps of homework and upcoming tests and applying to colleges, we groaned together. We were in a constant state of amusement at the underclassmen energy level. Time, junior year, was measured in 90-minute parking intervals, studying for the SAT and ACTs, and applications for colleges, and planning for the next step. This, of course, brought on early onset senioritis. Senior year had arrived, and with swelled heads, we finally realized that we are truly the most attractive class that has ever hit Manhasset. We walked the halls like we owned them, and we had made sure that no class had ever walked them like we did. At this point, we had survived gym with Miss McDonough, dodged the new attendance policy with ease and finesse, and glided effortlessly through classes, doing the most minimal work and maximizing our time doing what was truly important, sitting in the spa and spending the last few months with our friends. Senior year was about leaving our mark, preparing for the future, and spending every possible second with each other in the relationships we have spent years cultivating. That's what we have learned about time this year. It's precious. To think that we ever wanted to fast forward time to this moment is ridiculous, because all we want to do now is rewind and have just one more day together. And maybe it won't hit you now or this summer, but I promise you, when you're in your dorm next year with a complete stranger, you're going to wish the person next to you was one of your best buds from high school. But how is time measured by our parents? Well, for the parents, it started with the first time you took the bus to kindergarten, when they waved you off from the door, lunch immaculately made, thinking that soon you'd be headed off to college. They knew how quickly time would pass. Time when we were young was so simply organized. Snack time, story time, bedtime. As we grew, things started to get more complicated, and their time was spent as Ubers, shuttling us to school and practices, as cheerleaders, supporting us at every game, performance, and ceremony, and as half our brains, making many, many drop-offs to the attendance office when we dropped the ball. I would bet at this very moment that they would rather be making yet another trip to school because you happen to forget your lunch project or equipment at home, than sitting there watching us prepare to leave them. But what you have to know, parents, is that we will never really leave you. The time you have put into us, instilling manners and values, honesty and kindness, these most important of lessons, we will bring with us for all time. Look around 2017. Look at each other. There is something special to be said about the friendships we have made since then. Unlike most other high schools, we didn't meet each other at freshman orientation. We met in preschool. We've grown up together. Those around you right now are partly responsible for the person you have become. They have raised you almost as much as your parents have. They have helped to mold you into the person you are today. They have shared many happy times, and they have been there through every hardship. Many of your accomplishments you have accomplished together, and in times of need, these friends have never failed you and will never fail you. They have had your back growing up, they have it now, and they will have it forever. These aren't just friends, 2017. This is your family. And this is not the family that you were born into. This is the family that you have chosen and that has chosen you. These relationships have survived the test of time, and that is what makes all the difference. And that is how you measure time.